Ganz herzlich willkommen zu einer weiteren Ausgabe vom Podcast Ein bisschen improvisiert aus Südfrankreich, wo ich aktuell im Auslandssemester bin. Daran sollte es aber nicht scheitern, auch wenn es alles die Ausrüstung nicht perfekt ist. Heute mit dem Handy gefilmt. Ja, wie das im Ausland immer so ist, trifft man immer sehr, sehr viele interessante Menschen. Einer davon ist Gabriel, der mit mir hier in Südfrankreich das Semester macht. Wie ihr sehen könnt, hat er Brasilien-Trikot an, also hat einen vielfältigen kulturellen Hintergrund und genau darum soll es heute unter anderem gehen. So, welcome Gabriel, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time too.
Yes, and maybe could you start by presenting a little bit yourself, like, because after 3 months of knowing you, I know you have French roots, you have Armenian roots, and you have, of course, Brazilian roots, but how are they all connected? Can you
So,
explain
first of all, I want to apologize for not speaking German. So, my mother is Brazilian, 100%. My father, French, only born in France, but the blood is Armenian.
I see.
Complicated situation, but I'm gonna pass because it's gonna take hours to explain.
Yes,
So, I was born in France. I'm not going to say the date.
yes,
And so, I was born in France with 3 months age. 3 months old, I went other place. I don't know exactly because it was really strange. We were going everywhere.
yes.
But I think I went to Brazil. Then because the first time I take a plane, I was 3 months old.
Yeah,
So I went to Brazil, and I have a twin sister too,
yeah,
Sophia. Big up.
yes,
And so I went to Brazil, I think. Then they took me. I lived a little bit Saudi Arabia.
yeah,
Then we went to Australia until I was 3.
yes.
Then I lived in Dubai for some time.
For real?
This is the surprise.
In Dubai?
Yeah, Dubai.
For how long?
7 years.
No.
Yeah, but I was a kid. I don't remember a lot.
No,
of
you're
things.
joking.
Wallahi, it's true. So then I did this, and then when I was 9 years old, I went to Brazil, and there I stayed until 18. And then with 18, I came to France to study literature, social science, and then I stopped. No, I don't stop. I continue in my 3rd year in information communication with you.
So we have to improvise here. You lived in Dubai, you didn't tell me so far.
I told you, but you didn't remember.
Do you have any, do you remember what?
I have small things, but
Yeah.
the thing is when I came to Brazil,
Yes,
my mother fell sick, big sickness, like worse than cancer.
yes.
And so everything that happened before this, I cannot remember almost anything. Really strange brain mechanism.
Yes.
So I remember something. I had few friends, a lot of French friends.
So how old were you when you were in Dubai?
From my 3 to 9 or 10.
Okay. So you don't have a lot of
No,
memories?
I just know some things, and I
Right.
just know I liked it a little bit, but actually now in time I wouldn't want to go back.
I see.
Because it's not my type of place, you know.
I see.
That's why I don't talk about it too much, because I would go to a place, I would talk about somewhere I don't remember a lot,
Yeah, I see.
which I'm not really fond of.
Yeah, I see. And so after Dubai, I'm right, it was Brazil.
Brazil,
Okay.
Rio de Janeiro.
I see. So now this is our next topic: growing up in Brazil, in Rio. When I think of growing up in Brazil, it's definitely connected with dangers. Like, you pay attention where you're going. Can you respond to these prejudges? Is it true, or would you say is it safe? Can you explain how the situation was?
It is a okay situation. It's not, of course, like being in some places in Europe, but now Europe is some places is almost as dangerous. And the thing is, when you grow up in Brazil, I had my Brazilian mother, so I always had the little thing.
Yes.
You know where to go, where not to go.
Yeah.
And it's not like everywhere you go, you're starting to panic. It's just little things. You don't take out your phone everywhere.
Yeah.
And now it looks like it's becoming less dangerous. I feel like when I'm watching on the internet, it doesn't seem as dangerous. And it wasn't the Western movie when I was
Yeah.
there, but it was a little bit more. I feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a part of danger, but it's not only danger. It's you can live good.
Yeah.
I never got robbed, and even when I arrived, I was a little stupid kid from Dubai,
Yeah.
big money, and
Yeah.
after less money because my mother fell sick,
Yes.
and I would live okay, like I never had this problem of seeing, oh man, I'm gonna get robbed. If I'm walking in the street and it feels strange, people are looking a little strange, you feel like it's a little bit dangerous, you just come back.
I see.
You don't need to go in.
And how would you rank Rio in regard to the rest of the country? Because is Rio a city as like where it's very dangerous compared to the rest of the country, or is it?
Rio is made fun of how it's can be dangerous in
Yeah.
Brazil. But still, when I went to São Paulo, it's the other big city, I felt a little bit more danger there.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's not my city and I don't know it,
Yeah.
and I don't really hate São Paulo as a city,
Yeah.
it's really not nice.
I think it's more poor, right? Than
no,
Rio.
it's richer. It's
Ah,
the
right? It's richer?
economic capital.
Okay.
Like in Brazil, we have three styles of capital.
Yeah.
Rio is cultural capital, São Paulo is economic, and Brasilia is a political
I see.
capital. But like it's not as it's quite rich. There's poor places, but as always. But I didn't travel a lot in Brazil.
Yes.
Big mistake of mine. I travel more in Europe than in Brazil.
Yes.
But I went to when I was like 15 to. Sorry, I went to Bahia. Is a region in. It's a region in Brazil, in the northeast of Brazil.
Yes.
And there you could feel it's much more poor,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel a little bit more less secure.
Mm-hmm.
And because people from Bahia, no racism intended, they're much more black,
Yeah.
so they feel when you're a tourist. They
Yeah,
can
I see.
it
I see.
physically.
Yes. So you would say it's at all it's not that dangerous as people say. Like I heard stories you cannot walk in Rio. You have to pay attention when it's the night. You can't walk at all. It's not like that.
It's half-half. The
Okay.
problem is some people go, they think no danger, they get robbed. Other people go, they think too much danger, they don't do nothing. You just need to find the good.
The balance.
It's like going. Let's go. You go in a suburb in Paris.
Yeah.
If you don't do nothing, you're never gonna get robbed. If you don't go into north suburb, not suburb, but the north of Marseille, if you want to, you will get robbed. Just if you take phone, money, everything. But
Yeah.
if you just go, you go straight,
Yeah.
not to take
Spend-
pictures.
yeah,
everywhere, you won't have problem.
Yeah, I see. So then, sort of on one side, there are the dangers, but on the other side, when I think of the Brazilian culture, I think of a lot of positive people, of dancing. I think the culture is very, very, it's very special. What do you think when you think of the Brazilian culture? Like, is it like this, like with the dancing? Do you feel this vibe, this atmosphere in the city?
It is a real happy place.
Yes.
You can feel. The thing is, it's not that everybody's happy. It's people are less autistic than in Europe.
I see.
Like we did with you, an interview in the street for
Yes.
people. In Brazil, you would ask. I think more than half of the people would be delighted to go do the interview.
I see.
Here you do. The people look at you. They don't answer. They just walk away.
That's true.
So, and south of France is a really open place.
Yes.
In comparison to Paris, you would get smacked if you want to interview someone.
Okay.
And so, but there is really this more dancing culture. Even to dance is much more easy to dance in Brazil. And I didn't do a lot of those things because I was young when I was in Brazil.
Yes.
But you feel the place is much more warm in some sense.
I see.
In the weather and in the people.
Yes.
But it's not. Of course, we cannot do this magic place. People, everybody's sympathetic.
No,
Like-
yeah. It's
like
prejudice.
everywhere, you have
Yes.
good and bad people. But the most of the people, they're more sympathetic, but maybe not good. But they're more nice to speak to.
Yeah. So you would say the atmosphere between the people is different from maybe the typical European city like
North
you see?
European city. Like when I went to Italy,
Yeah.
because I traveled a lot in Italy, you
Yeah.
feel a little bit more this. The people are less on their phones. They're more
Ah, okay,
connected
okay.
to the rest of the world.
I
Even
see.
Brazil, it's strange because it's a place where everybody's connected. A lot of people just talk to unknown people in the street. My mother, it's incredible. She stays. You put her in one place. 3 minutes, she's talking to half of the people on the street.
Yes.
She doesn't know anybody.
Yes.
But like.
This is different. Like
Yeah.
also from me from Germany, you would not start to talk to a stranger. It's not
Yeah,
usual.
but in Brazil, it's quite usual.
So like I said, we have to improvise, and we just found out the microphone is not working. No problem. We were able to fix the problem. So let's continue, Gabriel. What I found very interesting is that you said the people there are you mentioned the phone. They are less using the phone. Could you explain this?
So the funny thing is that it is one of the countries that use the most the phone in the world.
Yes.
It's the most on social app. Even my mother, who's not of the generation that discovered the phone, even grandmothers and everybody is using their phones and Instagram and everything.
Yes.
But the thing is, still like this, you feel if you go on the street, they're less like with the headphones. Yeah. One of the reason is because if you do this, you might get robbed. But another reason is just that, and a lot of people will still be on the phone, but the moment you go talk to them, they're gonna be much more open than in North European countries.
Why is that? Do you have an idea?
Ah, this I think is really the culture, like even because this strange thing I feel because when I watch movies back in the time, old German movies, old French movies, people seem much more open. So maybe it's just the fact of becoming a rich country. People just want to be on their own because more you go north, it's more people the countries are rich, and more you go
I
down, the
see.
people are. I don't know. It's a difficult way. We need to do a sociological study on this because
Yeah,
even
for sure.
you can look Russian people, they're really close people too, and they're not as rich. So strange thing. I don't know.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know. I feel the same way like you. Maybe it's in Europe thing that everyone, like you said, is walking with the earphones and everyone is in their own world. And it's not very socializing anymore. It's interesting that it's maybe different in Brazil. So next, we're going to try to understand the Brazilian culture a little bit more. Um, can you give examples maybe of? So you said you're not traveling. You didn't travel that much in Brazil when you were
No.
a child. But did you see anything apart from Rio? Can you say where are nice areas? For the visitor, for the people who are interested to see the Brazil. Can you recommend something?
Yes. So we have few places that are quite nice. I didn't like São Paulo, the city, but the thing is, Rio is the name of the city and the name of the state. And the state of Rio has a. I went to quite sorry, I went to quite a lot of places in the state of Rio, which are really nice. And now my family doesn't live in the city anymore. They live in the what am I talking about? Yeah, they live in the region, the state of Rio.
Yes.
So it's a small city named Paraty, and they lived in a place that is even far from Paraty is Trindade Paraty, and there is really nice. It's like a small beach. Even if you want, you could put some pictures after in the
Really?
montage.
Yes.
So it's a really nice place to be. And then you have. I went only to São Paulo, Bahia, outside of the state of Rio, and Brasilia, where my mother is original this
Originally, yes.
from, yeah,
Yes, yes.
and also some places in the state of Minas Gerais. I mean, my mother is born in Brasilia, but her family is from Minas Gerais, which is another state of Brazil. And this place is really nice. It's big mountain places. The people are known for being the most nicest people in Brazil. Much more open, less dangerous place, and yeah, that's all I know. But if someone go to Brazil, I recommend Rio. I recommend the state of Rio, Paraty, Búzios, things like this. Also in Minas Gerais, I would say cities like with the accent or without the accent, I should say, because you're not going to find it.
Without accent.
Ouro Preto, and then which places to Tiradentes,
Okay.
and São Paulo. There's nice places. I've never been, but I know there's nice places in the state of São Paulo,
Yes.
like near the beaches. But the city, I wouldn't recommend it. I didn't really like it.
I see. So you have your mother still living there, right? So you spent not your whole, but you spent a part of your childhood there. What I'm sure you miss your family, of course. You miss maybe the Brazilian culture. Can you concretize what you miss of the Brazilian culture? Of course, your family, but what else?
So for me, it's really strange because I don't feel that much like missing the country.
Okay.
But the moment it becomes cold, I really miss it.
The weather.
Yeah, and in Brazilian in Portuguese we have a word is saudade, which is the way it's not really you don't really have a traduction in English or in
Yeah, that's
French.
true.
It's like missing the places, the vibe and everything.
Mm.
So I miss it because I live near the beach also. I love the beach. I cannot live without it. And the thing is, I didn't like it that much when I was in Brazil, but since I'm not living there, and I know it's not everywhere like this because I live 2 years in Paris, it's 5 degrees half of the time, cold, no beaches, nothing to do. And I think I miss this, the food, the vibe of the people. Of course, my family, because now my mother is living in Brazil, but my father is living in France. They're not divorced. They just have my father went to help my grandparents, and normally, God willing, he goes back to Brazil in the end of the year. So it's really like the vibe of the place is really nice. The beaches, the food. I mean, it's what you miss in a country in general. Like in some way, it's everything because when you're not there, you don't really see the bad places. Of course, when you're there, you will see a little bit more. Like when I was in Brazil, I really wanted to go to Europe to study because I have an image of Europe that was much more nicer than what, not of Europe, of Paris, that was much more nicer of what it is actually.
I see.
But yeah, it's a little bit everything I miss.
Yes. So you just mentioned also France, Paris. You said it was not that nice as you were imagine how it would be. Can you explain this? Like, I think yeah, you hear a lot of stories that Paris is not that safe anymore. Did you also feel that way?
For me, safety wasn't the problem because I come from Brazil, so it wasn't a big problem for me than some places, and I never had any slightly small problem in Paris. So I think people also exaggerate a little bit. I mean, if you're from a small village in Finland, of course, if you go to Paris, you will feel it's a little bit more dangerous.
Yes.
But if you were from big city, I know like Frankfurt is a city where people feel a little bit dangerous. If you come from those city, Paris won't seem dangerous.
I see.
And for me, the thing was, I knew Paris. I had two big sources of what Paris was. It was my grandfather, who knew Paris 50 years ago, and I loved I love my grandfather. So he would tell me stories about his childhood. It was a really fun Paris where you could find everything. It was a popular classes lived in Paris. Now it's only a rich place. If you don't have money, you can't go to Paris to live, and you just end up living in a place with rats and everything. And the second source for me was the feel.
Speaking of your own experience.
Yes, I would live in a place where you had rats on the side.
Wow.
You had the cockroaches in my apartment for 1 year. The owner didn't really move a finger to solve the problem, and I was paying expensive for the apartment. I don't know the rent, an expensive rent,
Yes, yes.
and yeah. And the second source I have for Paris was the movies of the 60s, the Nouvelle Vague, if people know. So it's really not what you could see now. Like I knew Paris of the movies from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s maybe, and I didn't expect to see the Paris of 2022 because I arrived in 22. And also the thing is, what is the thing I forgot? I forgot what the thing is, but there was a thing to say, but I forgot it.
That's life. So, so there was Dubai, then there was Brazil, then there was now the south of France, and now we are both at the l'École de journalisme de la communication. Can you tell us a little bit about what your plans are, like after the degree, after getting the degree? Do you already know what you want to do? Like, do you want to work as a journalist? Do you know you want to continue with the master? Can you explain your ideas?
So I have few ideas. So the objective coming to this school was to do journalism, of course,
Yes.
to do a master's degree in journalism. And I have few ideas on what to do as a journalist. I have first, and my mother isn't happy for it, is to do a war reporter,
War reporter?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
which isn't the favorite idea of my mother, of course. And because being Armenian too, I felt during the war that we didn't have the good information about what was happening.
I see.
And even when you look like now with Palestine and everything, you see that this kind of journalism is the most important because otherwise you don't have the information.
I see.
And on the other hand, it's a much more light version of journalism is to do a journalism about movies, cinema, because I love cinema.
Yes.
The problem is I hate people that talk about movies, like the critics. I
Yes.
found them stupid, so
Yes.
it would be a difficult situation. And on the other hand, other hand, I have another idea that has been for 1 month, 2 months. I've been thinking about it.
Yes.
Is to do cinema university
Yeah.
to become or a director or maybe an actor because being an actor was a thing I wanted to do since I was a little child.
I see.
So because I've done theater in Brazil for 8 years, so I really liked it. And yeah, so there's those few options. Maybe I'm gonna do something that has nothing to do with it, but it's life, you know.
Yeah. You're going to trust the process.
Yeah.
But you you just said you the way of the reporting of the war.
Yeah.
You miss something. You don't like the way the they're reporting about the war. Can you explain this a little bit? Because like, do you think that it's not balanced between the two sides, or what is your feeling about it?
Yeah, in the case of Armenians'
Yes.
situation, the thing was, it wasn't so much not having reporters on site, it was just that the journal of in the world weren't talking about the war. And it was a quite big war, and nobody gave the fuck about it. So for me, it wasn't the nicest situation to live because I was in Brazil, I was 16 or 15. It was just during COVID, so you would see a war, you didn't have any information. The Brazilian TV, I think, spoke about it for 1 minute, and they would speak about 20 minutes about a guy who took a shit in the street. So it's not balanced the way we talk about. I'm sorry for the viewers of the vulgarity of my saying, but it's really not quite balanced. But the problem, this is why I'm hesitating about doing a war reporter, is that in a lot of times it's really hard to stay with independence. Because the war reporter, the problem is in a lot of cases they're just a sort of propaganda for the state. Because to have access to a military place, you need to have connections in the state and everything. So it's really difficult to do as an independent work. And for me, journalism needs to be independent. If you do a journalism that is just propaganda for a state, then I wouldn't like it. It's like if I'm not going to say I'm a war reporter if I'm going to film Israel doing the things and saying, no, it's really nice what they're doing. They're just taking off Hamas people when everybody knows it's not true. You see, so for me, this is the big problem: is to find the slight line between being a propaganda machine and being a real independent journalist. But this is why I do journalism, to know how to don't go to this. But the problem is, in journalism study, in a lot of cases, they don't really they learn to you how to study, how to become a war reporter. They learn to you how to go on a television and say, "Hello, today we have." No, no, no. This is not what I want to do.
Well, yes, I agree. I think independent journalism is the most, it's like the most important fact about journalism, that it's independent. But I think nowadays it's difficult because when you, I don't know, when you work for a company, in any case, for a magazine, for the TV, you have to do what they are going to say. So do you think it's still possible? We're changing the subject a little bit, but it's very interesting. Do you think it's still possible nowadays to create your own brand as a journalist, to be independent, or do you see a chance there? Is it then the usual way you're working for a company, but then you always have to do what they're going to say?
Yeah, so I mean, this problem of all journalists. Best way, in some way, to do journalism is just to have your own like YouTube channel, as you're doing. Well, it's not war reporter; it's interviewing a stupid guy, but it's the best way to do journalism is really to have your own channel. I think, like, or going to a channel that are okay with your opinion. Because in France we have a thing also, like, if when the let's say the how you call it, the owner of a journal changes, you have a law that allows the journalist to just go out of the journalist of the journal of the newspaper, because you're not okay with what the new owner is the editorial line of the new owner. So you can or go to a independent, because like in France we have few ones that I like. I like seeing what they're saying. Of course, there's some things that sometimes they just say some stupid shit, but everybody says some stupid shit sometimes. It's not possible to evitate. I don't know how to say, but it's really it's complicated to find all of this. And yes, and or on the other case, you can do as a lot of YouTubers are doing now. YouTubers or journalists more. They're more journalists than YouTubers. They do a YouTube channel in which a lot of war reporters that I like in France do this. They go to places, they film about it, and they're much more independent. The problem is, of course, you need to find a way to get the money. So, or you go to funding systems, or you become real famous, and there it's okay. A lot of them go to big medias,
Yes,
get their money there. When they become known, they open a YouTube channel,
that's right.
and then they can do their thing much more independently.
That's right. Yes, very interesting. So then to finish, we figured out that you have a wide cultural background. Do you think this cultural background it's important to for the journalism or in the field of communication. It's essential to see to have experience in traveling the world to see that what the world is all about. Just in the sense of when you're staying your whole life at the same place with your small circle, you won't be able to really to feel what the atmosphere and to be able to report. Do you think this is essential?
Yeah, for me, it's not essential. I mean, everybody can go out of their place and travel. You don't need to have a Brazilian mother, a French father with Armenian descent. This is not a obligation.
Yes.
So you can do everything. It's just the thing is, if you want to be a journalist, for me, you need to travel a lot.
I see.
And you
And
know,
why? Why? Explain this.
because when you travel, you see different things of
Yes.
people that different opinions, different point of view about life, even just about life. Even not if you're not even a journalist. For me, traveling is an important thing to do because you can see the world in a different way. And for me, the most important thing to do is to meet the people in the places you go. It's not to take Instagram picture of some mountain of the Pisa Tower. No, it's to talk to the people, have a small discussion, even if you don't speak the language. I mean, when I went to Armenia, I don't speak almost a word of Armenian, and it was just talking. Yes, so you do the thing. You just talk with your hands stupidly, but it's the nicest thing is to meet really the people, and you discover everybody has a different story. Sometimes you can meet some crazy people, a little bit strange people.
Yes.
But this is the thing, which is nice about traveling, is you have the risk of having a bad situation, but it's a risk nice to take. It's like playing the lottery. Meeting people is like playing a lottery, but in the most cases you win. It's really rare to lose in this kind of a situation. And yeah, if you're a journalist, the thing is you're everything you're saying can have an impact in society because the way you portray an event in the world will going to have an impact on the way people will understand the situation. So let's say I don't know, let's say Palestine, the situation in Palestine. If you report it as saying Israel is the most moral military in the world, they're just going to Hamas people because the Hamas people killed the Israeli people on October 7th, then everything's beautiful in life. God save Israel. But if you portray it in another way, in which they're killing civilians and everything, then people will understand it in a different way. But the thing I don't want to exaggerate is say that journalism can change the world because it cannot. If it could change the world, everybody knows what is happening in Palestine almost, but it didn't change anything. A lot of people knew, but not enough, unfortunately, knew about what is happening in Armenia. But even if people knew, I don't think it would change a lot of things. Like we shouldn't say, the journalism is the best thing in the world. It can change the world. A lot of cases, just people know, but politicians don't know anything. It's really rare to have a politician that does what really the people is asking for.
I see. Okay, thank you. So, yeah, you have wow, and then very interesting story. Do you have anything, maybe last words for everyone? Because I think everyone has, like we found out, everyone has a story to tell. Do you made special experience you maybe want to share, or any last words for you would want to give your younger self? Are there any experience you would want to share?
Live more chill. Don't be too like when I was young. I had my ideas. It was fixed ideas. I wouldn't change about it. It was when I started traveling, because I traveled in Italy for 1 month, then I traveled in 3 months in Europe, going to Armenia by bus and everything.
Yes,
Be open to what people have to say
I see.
in general.
A good answer. I think also the point of trust the process is a little bit like this. Like I think we both still don't know too much what we want to do, but I'm sure it will. Someone will light the way, and we will find it. So thank you for your time, Gabriel. It was very interesting to get an insight. And yes, ich würde sagen, bis bald an dieser Stelle. Ciao.
Auf Wiedersehen.